Welcome back to the UCT Alumni Conversation Series. I am Unati Gondile, the Communications Manager at the Development and Alumni Department at UCT. Today we are speaking to a songstress or jazz artist, musician, UCT alumna, Lana Crowster, who is based in New York and is carving out her postgraduate degree there at the New York University. So let's find out what Lana is up to. Lana, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us today. We're very fascinated and interested to hear what you are up to abroad. But let's start briefly by introducing you. Who is Lana? And where is she from here in South Africa? Where was she from and where is she today?
My name is Lana Crowster. I did my undergrad and Bachelor of Music degree in Jazz Vocal Performance at the University of Cape Town. I also did my postgraduate degree in the same field. I've been performing in the South African music industry for 20 years and I've always had an interest in music business entrepreneurship. I wanted to study in that field, but unfortunately you're not able to do so at a postgraduate or graduate level in South Africa. So I had to come to New York, NYU to be exact, and now I'm doing my master's in music business degree at New York University.
Thank you. So you're from Bela, right?
Yes, I am.
And what high school did you go to?
I went to the Settlers High School.
And how hard was it to get into UCT back then?
Oh, it was easy.
Okay.
No, it wasn't. Okay, it's because my high school was very much structured like UCT. All the exams and all the extracurriculars and all of those kinds of things, everything that UCT stands for was very much emulated at my high school. So it really, really wasn't that hard. I mean, I applied, and then if you're studying music, you come in for an audition, you get invited to an audition. And at that point, I had already been singing and performing, and I had done music at high school. So I was one of the lucky ones because they're quite picky about who gets to go to music college. But for me, I guess it was easy because I had been doing it for so long.
Okay. And in terms of your area of expertise, did you know before you went to UCT what you wanted to do or what you wanted to specialize on?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I started singing with a jazz band when I was 14 years old. We were called the Belhar Music Collective. And it was a youth jazz band that was obviously from Belhar. And up until that point, I didn't know that one could study music. I didn't know that it could be a career. But then our band manager and music director, Keith Tabisher, he was like, you can make a career out of this. And I was like, huh? And our parents in South Africa want us to get that piece of paper that says we're qualified to do stuff. So I was like, let me go study this thing. And yeah, that's how it all started. But yeah, I had been singing since I was a little kid, but I started doing the jazz thing when I was 14.
Okay. And then you did mention that you wanted to do postgraduate studies, but they were not on offer here in South Africa. Is that the main reason why you left and moved to another country versus
Yes, absolutely. I really, really wanted to do my master's, but I didn't want to do it in performance. I wanted it to do it in something that was an amalgam of business and music, and unfortunately there are no programs like that at a tertiary level or master's level that you can do in South Africa, and the best programs in the world is NYU and Berklee College of Music. So unfortunately I wouldn't have been able to do it at home, but also once the pandemic hit, it was one of those things where you have to look at your life and be like, what is it that I want to do? What are the dreams? What do I want to achieve? And one of the things I've always wanted was to live in New York. So it was kind of an easy decision to apply to NYU.
So you applied to NYU and you went into to do your master's in, what would be the official title of the degree?
So it's officially a Master of Arts in Music Business.
Okay. And you completed that and then you stayed?
No,
in fact, the process...
I'm still busy with it. I just finished my first year. I've got one more year to go.
So how long have you been in New York?
I got here in September, so I think it's 9, 10 months now.
Oh, okay. No, we thought like you've been there for like years and years. Okay, no. Then it's quite interesting. And how's it been so far? I mean, living there, don't you miss South Africa yet?
There's definitely aspects. Obviously, I miss my family and my friends. I miss the food. I would do anything for a good braai and some biltong and some knickknacks, you know. But but other than that, you know, New York has what makes the things that makes it special. You know, there's theater happening all the time. There's entertainment happening all the time. There's arts. There's a museum. It has a really rich cultural um, um, uh, footprint. So
Yeah.
I try and immerse myself in that as much as possible. I mean, last night I went to see the Metropolitan Orchestra at Carnegie Hall, you know, playing the music of Hector Berlioz, this composer I learned about when I was in high school. So it's like all these, there's lots and lots and lots of culture, and there's lots of things to do here, especially within like the music realm of things. So yeah, I miss the food and I miss my family and my friends, but everything else in New York makes up for it.
And then in terms of your craft, like in music, in jazz, is there anything that you're missing or you feel is only South African or you know would that's not there that side?
Well, I do miss, so I don't know if you know this, but I started my own big band. We're South Africa's first all-woman big band. We're called the Lady Day Big Band, and most of our members are UCT alumni, and our conductor and my co-founder is Professor Amanda Tiffin, and she's the head of jazz studies at UCT. So I miss playing with my big band. I miss gigging with them. I wish I could have brought all of them with me. But other than that, no. You know, South African jazz and African music in general is trending worldwide. You know, it's something that I wish people back home knew how much the rest of the world appreciates our art. So, you know, there's always South African and African musicians touring here. I can always go and see a show or meet up with one of my famous friends who also come from the UCT program.
Yeah.
But in terms of like music and South African jazz, it's everywhere. So it's really not a thing of like it's not happening here or anything like that. And also for me personally, I am more focused on other genres outside of jazz at the moment. So I did my undergrad and I spent a lot of time working within the jazz industry, but now, you know, I've been focusing on other genres and other things. So it kind of just works out.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of which, have you already started gigging, like doing gigs and singing that side? Have you?
Yeah, I've done a few here and there. The grad program is quite intensive, I must say. So it doesn't really leave that much room for performing and stuff. But I have been doing performances here and there. I actually performed at the UCT Alumni in New York.
Yes, we saw that.
Yes,
We were watching that one.
that was really fun. So like where there are moments and where I can, you know, force myself in there to perform, I still like to keep it going. Yeah, at the moment I'm collaborating with a bunch of producers who are also within my program, and we're just writing stuff and having songwriting camps and just, you know, building something new.
Okay. And your first gig in that side, do you still remember it? Well, where was that? The very first gig when you arrived?
The very first one. Oh, it
In
was
New-
actually
yeah.
it was at Minton's Playhouse in Harlem. Minton's is a very, very world renowned like jazz club.
Yeah.
And it's in Harlem. And yeah, that was my first gig. I think that was like to like October, November last year. Yeah, that was really fun. It was really special.
Okay. Okay. No, it sounds interesting. So how long is the program? 2 years.
2
You're there
years.
for 2 years. Okay. And then afterwards, do you plan to stay on? What's your plan after?
I don't really have a plan for after it.
Okay.
So I'm figuring things out. You know, pandemic, we all had, you know, our experience
Yes.
with it. And for me, it was very much I was forced to basically into like early retirement because, all the gigs and everything was like
Yeah.
cancelled, and it was like 18 months of nothing happening really and lots of uncertainty. And I just decided that if I were to do this program, I would take the time and explore all the different options that I would have. And at the end of it, I'll decide what it is that I want to do next. So whether that be coming back home, whether that be staying, whether that be moving somewhere else, I'm not quite sure yet. Still figuring it out, which is, I want to say to all the alumni out there, you don't have to have it all figured out by the time you graduate. Some of us are 34 and we still don't know. So it's all good.
Lana, I want to take you back to the Vice Chancellor's visit where you performed. How was that for you, engaging with all the other alumni? Was it people we weren't there, unfortunately, so we wouldn't know how the experience was, but how was it?
It was really, really interesting. I mean, I'm a big dreamer, and I do things that people dream of, and people are like, when I tell them, they're like, oh, you're crazy, it's never going to happen, blah, blah, blah. So to be sitting in a room full of UCT alumni who are living and thriving in New York and making names for themselves, and seeing that there's like multiple generations of those kinds of people, it was very special. It made me realize, the sky is the limit. Whatever you put your mind to and work hard for will come to fruition. And it was just interesting talking to, especially like the older alums, about their trajectory and what brought them, to the States and stuff like that. And obviously a lot of it is, politically focused. They were trying to escape apartheid and all of those things. And then to also speak to like the newer generations of UCT alum and to see how diverse that group was really, really interesting. I was definitely the only one of two. I was like one of two people who did music at UCT. Everybody else is like actuaries and lawyers and accountants and stuff. So that was interesting. But yeah, it was a really, really, really awesome experience.
Okay. Speaking of awesome experiences, let's come back to UCT. Like your favorite memory at UCT. Like if you were to dig deep within your memory bank, what would you say like was your favorite moment here?
That's long time ago. I think I think my favorite thing, actually, my favorite thing about being at UCT, especially at music college, was the fact that we were exposed to basically the future of South African music and the future of, world music. I can remember, sitting in the auditorium, a free performance by Pretty Yende, and like, free performances by, people like Bokani Dyer and all these people, and Zoe Modiga, and watching all these people before anybody else knew them, being fans of all these people before anybody else knew them, and literally witnessing history and being immersed in that. That'll forever be my favorite memory. And also just being exposed to, seeing orchestras and seeing operas and, seeing big bands and all these things that a kid from the hood in Belhar wasn't really exposed to.
Yeah.
That now I can take that and I can be in a place like New York and truly appreciate all of that. So that's definitely my favorite thing about having studied at the College of Music at UCT.
Okay. Those were free, right?
Yeah, they still have free concerts and performances. I think it's like every Wednesday and sometimes in the evenings on Tuesdays and stuff. Yeah. It's very cool.
And then I have two more questions.
No
Firstly,
problem.
this side in South Africa is Youth Month.
Yeah.
And a theme that's been coming up a lot is unemployment, and more unemployment for young people. So what would your message be to young, South Africans? Maybe one who's thinking of a music career but has seen what it's done, or what COVID has done to the music industry. What advice would you give to a young person who's
Don't do it. No, it's okay. No, you see, the thing is, like, I'm, man, I'm very big on, like I said, music business entrepreneurship has become a huge thing for me because I was one of those people that was told, that there isn't a space for me in the South African music scene or in the music scene in general. And I decided to ignore that information and go with my gut and create my own little niche. I made my own brand. I created my own events. I invested in myself. The little that I had, I used to get to the next thing. And for me, that's how I learned to be an entrepreneur. And that's how I learned to be a music entrepreneur. And my advice to anybody in the arts back home in South Africa is like, if this is what you want to do, you need to be very, very sure of it because it's heartbreaking. It's the most toxic relationship you'll ever enter into your life. But if you work hard and you're passionate about it, you will get to where you want to get. I've had to do some things like leave the country and whatever, and I've had to like bet on myself over and over again. But at the end of the day, I love what I do. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm also very passionate about like being able to come back home and share what I've learned here with musicians over there, as I have been throughout my career, and just like encouraging people to not wait for the phone to ring, encouraging people to not be put off by the gatekeepers, like just blaze your own path, keep going, and eventually whatever you want and whatever you've been working for will come to you.
Asking about the music business, it's a very interesting topic. Are you able to explain to us what it entails? Why is it not even offered in South Africa? But okay, what in general?
How much time do you have?
As briefly or compacted into like a neat package. Because also it's something that should be offered. I mean,
absolutely. So the thing is, like, our music industry is very unregulated. As you know, we don't have a union. There aren't many rights that have been put in place to protect musicians and artists. That's the number one problem. The number two problem is that we've got people who don't know anything about the music industry but have a business degree or managerial degree that end up working for the big labels, and these people have no idea what it is to work as an independent artist and build your way up. And they don't know what's popular in the streets. They don't know what's future trends and forecasting. There's a lot of things that they are not on top of, and these are the people that are running the big labels and making the decisions about like what gets played on the radio, gets pushed to radio and gets pushed to. So we're told what to like and what to enjoy listening to based on these people, and a lot of the times it's a copy of what's happening overseas, whereas everything that's happening musically in South Africa as it is trending everywhere else. Why? Because it's unique. We have a unique flavor, unique sound, unique individuals, all of that, and it's just sad that the people that are in charge of these things don't have the foresight to see that and the knowledge to know, okay, that's what we should do. We should be investing in what we have rather than trying to be a cheap imitation of what's already happening. Gosh, I can go on about this forever. And then on the other end of the spectrum, like there's like the lack of government support. Like we've got the arts and culture department grouped in with the Department of Sports, which makes absolutely no sense. And because of that, funding for arts programs are becoming less and less and less. The Minister of Arts and Culture is completely out of touch, has no idea what he's talking about or what's happening. So there's a lot of facets to why we don't have a strong music business program back home in South Africa. I think a lot of people still think it's not necessary. They want to keep musicians ignorant so that they can capitalize off them and, exploit them. But then you look at Nigeria and how far it has come in the last few years because of people taking an interest in music business entrepreneurship, making sure people know how to do things, making sure people know how to market and put a brand together and stage and perform and all of those things. There's no reason why we shouldn't be on that same level as the Nigerian music industry, but it really is at this point. There's a lot of factors that is holding us back. And yeah, for me, I feel like there's enough place in the sun for everybody to shine. I just feel that everybody needs to get an equal opportunity, and if they don't, they need to be given the chance to create that opportunity for themselves. I don't know about you, but I was born 87, so I'm the generation of alive with possibility, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so yeah, so that's like in my head, so I'm just like, that should apply to everyone, even in the arts.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Thank you. And I think the final question would be your advice, similar to the one I asked about youth, but now it's career advice, specifically for that final year student who might not be sure. Like, you did mention that, like, you'll figure it out. You're gonna come out and still don't know.
Yeah.
But let's imagine that you want to guide this person, and you know, what career advice would you give to that final year student who's just come out and there's the world?
Hey man, you know, I was a fourth year student, not knowing what I was gonna do. Studied the degree because I knew it's what my parents wanted for me, and there's a lot of us that do that. But I think at the end of the day, you've got to sit with yourself and ask yourself, is this what I want to do? And even if it's not, and you have to do it for the next 2-3 years, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with pivoting. There's nothing wrong with changing. I think our parents have this idea of, you study a thing, and then you do that thing for the rest of your life. And we don't live in that world anymore, you know? So, my advice would be, don't be afraid to take risks. If it doesn't work out, at least you've learned something and you can move to the next thing. But yeah, always take the leap. Try to not be scared, or try and use the fear as the fuel to get you to the next thing. That would be my advice, yeah.
That was Lana Crowster, all the way in New York, trains and all, and promoting her crowdfunding site and everything. Very proud to have her there in New York, of course, punting and promoting the UCT brand. Thank you very much for joining us today.